Absent today is the 14-year-old Ethan. Devin, can you tell me why your brother's not here?
Yes, he's currently out working on one of the properties he owns.
So when we say something, we are talking from experience from where, guys?
Experience.
Experience.
We don't talk about stuff. We don't read and say, "Oh, well, I read this or I heard this or I saw this on YouTube." We are actually doing. He is putting in a new floor at his house on Forest. He had the roof redone on the garage, helped to do a lot of the work on the back of the garage himself. He spent a lot of time hauling out trash, working with the electrician and the plumber in there. And
Mm.
we're going to see he's actually working on his farmhouse that will eventually be where he lives, and did put in the entire bathroom on his own. Now he is helping to rewire. I think he's got like one more day with that. And he's been scraping the walls, and he's going to go in and do some skim coating on the drywall. And I said I wasn't going to make him do drywall. He goes, "Well, it's not really that bad, Dad." So we'll see how he feels after redrawalling just one small room.
For kids like Ethan that really like to move and to do things, this is great education for him because it's not just reading it or watching it. It's actually physically doing it, which is, I think, teaching him a lot.
I completely agree. And I think that that's very important, that when you have a hand that's a kid that is hands-on, that is very kinesthetic in learning, you have got to get them out there. Ray says that all the time. The best thing she did is send her kids through school up through, well, she homeschooled up through
Mhm.
maybe, freshman level or whatever, maybe even 7th grade. And then they went out and they built a house with their father. And they got more real life skills from that than anything. And I look
I-
back at the things that I learned from my dad, and I got so many
Mhm.
skills. How about you, Devin?
It is always better to actually do something than to just read it in a book, watch it in a YouTube video. You learn so much more by actually doing these things, which is why I think it's great that I'm doing a lot of a business investing, and I've helped fix up a couple of properties and things like that. I'm gaining this experience by actually doing it, and I will remember it better because I was actually doing it and working on it.
You are
And
absolutely right. Go ahead, Lila.
I think the warehouse where we literally fixed up the entire thing was such a good education for me as well. So I went through what Ethan went through so I could learn all the different pieces and parts and what goes into it, what order you need to do things in, and how you can handle these contractors that are coming in. So I think this is all amazing and wonderful.
And it is wonderful that we're actually getting to what we wanted to talk about today, which is how do you get started? Well, we didn't mean to get started, did we, Lila?
Not at all. Really, we were just trying to create a home for ourselves, and that that was kind of a motivating factor because we wanted a place to live. So
And I had this, they would call it an old fashioned belief that now that you're married, you need to provide a home for your wife and your family. And I didn't know how to do that. I mean, I had like no money. We were both making $8 an hour. We made under 45,000 because we're working part-time, trying to pick up as many extra shifts as possible. And we never made more than $45,000 a year combined. That was not each of us, that was combined. And we went out and found this warehouse, and the owner was just they were in bad shape. They had all these materials and they just couldn't do any more work. They were older, they weren't old, but they were older than us for sure because we were in our 20s. And we took over that project and just really started doing all of the work. And I have said it before. I went out, I bought a Black and Decker book on plumbing and another one on electric. And what I couldn't remember from building that addition on my house as a 15-year-old, I retaught myself at about 25. And oh man, we borrowed my dad's cement mixer, and it held exactly two 60-pound bags of cement. And Lila hated that. She would be sweating and it would solidify in her hair. And this big ponytail she had turned into a cement ponytail by the end of the day. And
Oof.
we did the drywall, and I was so bad at drywall. I said, well, I hate this. I don't want to do it. So I put all kinds of extra mud on. And I didn't realize that it wasn't putting the mud on that was bad. It was sanding it back off. And then we'd sand way too much. And how many different types of sanders? I got the sanders with the screens. I got sanders on poles. I got sanders for each hands. Finally ended up with like a plug-in electric sander. And that just took way too much off. So all I did is turn buckets of drywall mud into piles of drywall dust over the course of a couple of days, over and over again, until I finally figured it out. And those mistakes are what made us possible. They're what allowed us to do 1,000 rehabs, actually much more than that.